Today I'm going to give you my best 10 watches under £200 for 2022. Let's get into it! Yes, welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Today I'm going to give you 10 watches under 200 bucks that are fantastic value for money from brands with huge heritage, great reputation, and I can guarantee that every one of these watches you get a tip of the hat from your fellow watch enthusiast. So if you're buying for a friend, family member, or yourself, sit back and relax while I take you through some great watches. Are you value busting ready? Let's go! First up, and I had to get this one done straight away, if you're gonna buy a G-Shock, buy this one. I'm talking about the GW-M5610. The G-Shock that has the closest resemblance to the very first one that came on the market in 1983. G-Shock, or Gravity Shock, is a brand of watches that can take one hell of a beating. Shrouded in a resin case, the module inside,
it's snug as a bag.
A lot of G-Shocks can be a bit big, so if you do have a small wrist, this one is absolutely perfect. I have a 6.5-inch wrist, and for me personally, this fits beautifully. This has all the amazing functions as you would get in a decent Casio watch. Your stopwatch, your countdown timer, it's got 5 alarms, it has world time, but this watch is also solar powered, meaning there is no need to replace any batteries, and it also has multi-band 6. This G-Shock picks up a signal in the UK that is pumping accurate time, meaning this watch is super accurate, and this is the watch that I time all of my mechanical watches to. Now Casio have upgraded this in the recent times. I think it's got a slightly better backlight, but it still doesn't stop this from being my favourite G-Shock I own. I've got it with a set of J's and K's bull bars just to make it look tough. This watch you can still get for around £100, and if you're gonna own one digital watch or one G-Shock, it's gotta be the 5610. The next one is a reissue of a very important watch for this brand, Timex, and it was basically your 1960s version of a G-Shock, and we are talking about the Timex Marlin. As I said, this first appeared in the 1960s, and with Timex's very affordable and shock-resistant pin and plate movement, they made an absolute killing with these watches. I love the fact that Timex reissued this watch at the original size, 34mm. Does have an acrylic crystal, but so did the original.
Polywatch at the standby.
But this is a fantastic everyday watch that you could dress up or dress down. This is not automatic, so every day you need to wind the energy into this watch to give you the time. The duality between man and machine is very attractive to me, especially being a watch enthusiast of the old times, but I just think you can't go wrong with this watch. Since the reissue, Timex have brought out a lot of variants, different colours. My favourite is this one with the mother and pearl dial and the Arabic numerals. Very nice. That paired up with this black strap, it just shouts the 60s, doesn't it? Well under £200, and I think this is a winner. This one's another mechanical watch, an automatic and a diver, and it's the Orient Raid 2. Still one of the best value for money dive watches in the marketplace. Orient have been going for a long time. They are kind of owned by Seiko,
but they don't like to shout about it.
With this watch you get an in-house movement, hacking in hand winding, very decent bezel on it, 200 meters water resistant. It's a great size at just over 41mm in diameter, 47 lug to lug. Like Seiko was 6 to 10 years ago, there is a lot of value in Orient dive watches still. And for £130, £140, I still think you're getting great value for money. A quick mention for the Orient Kamasu, £30 to £40 more expensive, sapphire glass, where the Raid 2 has mineral, but for me, I prefer the handset and the dial on the Raid 2. But let's be fair, you can't go wrong with either. Next up is a channel favourite for me, the good old CA53W. Yes, the watch that Marty McFly wore in Back to the Future 2. They're still making it, it's still only £30. It holds a lot of memories for me because it's the first watch I ever remember buying with my mum. When I bought it, I thought I was the absolute bee's knees, showing it off at school, doing little calculations on it. No, I didn't do any calculations, but I was pretty proficient in typing a lot of words on it.
Like boobies.
Where on earth could you buy a watch for £30 that is a huge film icon, gets huge respect from all watch enthusiasts and just sends you back to a time when you had no responsibilities and all you ate was Frosties.
That's great! Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Next up, my favourite mechanical watch under £200, and by quite a long way as well. I'm obviously talking about the Seagull 1963. In the 50s, a Swiss brand called Venus sold the rights to a swan neck regulating hand-wind mechanical chronograph movement to the Chinese government to make them some money to make newer movements. At that time, the Chinese were wanting to make a chronograph for their fighter pilots, and it wasn't until 1963, now you get the year, that their pilots had these watches. Now you need to get one of these with a display case back. Honestly, it's a thing of beauty. You will not think, nor any of your friends, that this watch is under £200. And that's just the back. This is a reissue of that 1960s watch by a company called CASIO'S. You wouldn't think that gold indices would work together with a champagne dial and blue hands, but it just does. The 38mm case is the truest to the size back in the 60s. I've had one in the past and I loved it. You can buy this on Amazon with a sapphire glass for around £180. Now I don't know how long these watches are going to be that price for, but while you can, just try one. Next up, a watch I haven't reviewed yet, nor have I handled, but I know I'm going to soon. Let me tell you about Accurist. British watchmaking company, founded in the 1940s, have really stepped up their game in 2022 because they have finally realised that their best watches were ones they've already done in the past.
Like most watch brands.
They've rebranded to their original vintage one, and they are coming up with some amazing looking watches. Take a look at this, the Accurist Origin chronograph. Now they said they have taken inspiration from their back catalogue and they have made some beautiful watches in the past. Check this out. I mean that's from the 50s. That's beautiful. Here's a 70s one. I can't actually find a chronograph that looks like this one that they've got here. The polishing, the finishing to it looks incredible. The engine is a Japanese quartz, which is the only downside, but this is the reason why it's so darn affordable. It's got a sapphire glass. It's 41mm in diameter. I think it could wear a little bit big, but if you've got 7-inch wrists and above, this is going to be absolutely beautiful. I'm not a fan of the date window, I've got to be honest, but other than that, for those in the UK, it's well worth going to your local H. Samuel and trying one of these out on your wrist. And I think in 2023, Accurist are going to be talked about a lot. Looks like I got one, Bill.
What you got there, Joe?
Got myself a Marlin. Next up, another big-ish watch. Well, I say big-ish. Yeah, it's big, but it's a fan's favourite, and I am talking about the Casio Duro.
Have to roll the R's when you say it. Duro.
Now, I bought this watch to review. I wasn't going to keep it because on my 6.5-inch wrist, it's just too big. But there's a reason why it's so popular. Casio are known for their plastic resin watches, aren't they? Well, this is an analog quartz dive watch in a stainless steel case, screw-down crown and screw-down case back, unidirectional dive time bezel that feels at least like a £300 diver. You can still buy these watches for around 50 odd pounds. Obviously it takes inspiration from the Rolex Submariner, but there are enough differences and Casio signatures to really make it its own thing. I love the sunburst black dial as well as the handset. You can buy these watches with different bezels and dial colours nowadays. There's also a big modding community with the Duro. And listen, if it's good enough for Bill Gates, it's good enough for us, right?
Take two.
Let's see a little more originality, shall we? Another amazing vintage-inspired watch is from Timex, and it's the recently released TMWC42600, the Men's Lab Archive watch. It's a bit of a funny name, but Timex have released a number of watches from their back catalogue, or loosely inspired from, but look how good this watch is. It's only 40mm, 12mm thickness. It absolutely screams old Rolex Daytona to me, which obviously it's taken most of the inspiration of. It has a quartz engine with an easy access battery opening. Yes, it's only 50 meters of water resistance. I've seen it for £179.99, and again, it's a watch that gets you a nod and a "well done, sir" from any watch enthusiast. Next up is a digital watch I didn't think I would like. In actual fact, I tried not to like it. And we are talking about the GBD 200. Yes, that's right, the insanely legible digital watch that uses a memory in pixel display. Unlike conventional LCD screens, this watch can be seen clear as day in all angles. I love the fact it has a slight resemblance to the original GShock, but it has been modified and modernized with an amazing resin strap that you don't get on any other Casio, nice pushable buttons, and an insanely shiny backlight. The reason why I didn't want to like this watch, it's a sort of smart watch. You can connect this to your phone via Bluetooth and can receive notifications of emails, text messages, WhatsApps, you name it. However, I have disabled that function and now just use it as a regular watch. It still tracks my steps, which I really do like. At the start of the show, I said that the 5610 is the first G-Shock you should buy. Well, the second one definitely should be the GBD 200. Super! And we come to my last choice. It's an old watch. Pretty sure it's discontinued now, but you can still find it for around £110 online. Therefore, it's my favourite mechanical automatic watch of the bunch. It is the Seiko SNK 809. Now, recently Seiko upgraded this watch, making it slightly bigger and upgrading the movement so you could now hack and hand wind it, but they just don't have the charm that this 809 does. It's a pilot's Flieger style watch, but in a 37mm diameter, 100 meters water resistant, mineral crystal, but I really love this blasted look. But when you pay around £100 for a Seiko, the bracelet is usually pretty poor. It now resides with this beautiful CWC NATO, and it looks very military to me. We got a display case back showing the 7S26. It's a window for non-watch lovers because, let's be honest, the movement isn't great to look at. But this watch is going to be very reliable, and if and when it does pop its clogs, you will have had a lot of years service from it. It's back to an era when Seikos were huge value for money. 6 or 7 years ago, these were about £60 to £70. Nowadays, because they're discontinued and because Seiko are slightly rising their prices, this watch is about £110, £120. And once they are gone, they're gone. Okay, so there it is. My favourite 10 watches under £200. All of them I've either owned or reviewed, bar only a couple, and only then I'm going to very soon. But I honestly think if you was to buy any of these watches, you can't go wrong. In fact, if you had a 10 watch collection with these being your 10, that would be hugely impressive. I love value in watches from companies that have been going for a long time, and I have great respect for a company that have been going for 50, 60, 70 years, designing and innovating watches to keep afloat up in the market. Now, I know I've missed a big brand off today, Citizen. I'm not a huge fan of Citizen. I have always run to Seiko. The designs just speak to me a little more. That's not to say they aren't good watches, and I expect a lot of comments about watches from Citizen that you love. This show isn't just about my thoughts. Take a look at the comments, because a lot of people are going to say their favourite watch is under £200, and they have just as much knowledge, if not much more, than me about this subject. And this show will be your one-stop shop in buying a watch under £200 with huge value. If you have stayed till the end, please click the like button and obviously subscribe. And if you want to feel part or want to support or want a bit more from the Mad Watch Collector channel, why don't you join? Click this button there. Yeah! And if I've got you for a few more minutes, why don't you take a look at this show? Ho 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 ho! Another good hair day, I see. Yeah, this is a great show. Great watches. Come on down. Yeah, come on, click it. Click it. Come on, click it. Click.